Hi, I am Shane Brinkman-Davis, and this is LiveCoding number 6. And I do this in association with GenUI.co and my own company, Kimmy. Today, we're going to do a follow-up on what I did in the last one, which was I was looking at this real-world project, and I was looking at the React Redux implementation of Realworld. Realworld surveys tons of the current available platforms for building front-end apps. It's mostly focused on web, but also they're focused on mobile and the back end, and it's a great way of sort of cross-comparing them, all solving the same semi-real-world app. So I did a lot of that last time. I'm not going to dive too much into that, but when I was diving into it last time, I saw that this was using old React. It wasn't using hooks, which is the new hotness. And I'm not super familiar with hooks. I've used them a little bit. I've seen some presentations on them. So this is the best live coding. I'm going to be diving in and figuring it out as I go, and you're going to stay with me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fork this, which I've already done, and I'm going to then try to convert it over to hooks, and then we will submit a pull request. Not sure if I can get that all done in the hour or less that I'm targeting, but we will see how it goes. So let's just dive in here. So this is the original here on Rockster, and my fork, because it's Shane B. Davis. So I've got this fork here, and I've already cloned it over here. It's just an npm start to start the server. And development server loading up, and there it is. I'm going to slide this over here. All the rest of this is kind of referenced. I don't think I'm going to get this rule that. I've got a couple different hooks references up here to help me along. And I am going to use VSCode today because I think VSCode just has better syntax highlighting for JSX as opposed to my Sublime syntax highlighter. So we're going to dive in here and see what we can do. So the first thing I would do is I just want to see if I can make anything, convert any little simple thing, find a relatively simple example. Go full screen here, and see which ones we can reasonably convert to hooks without a whole lot of things breaking. I kind of want to do something that's not like the app, not like the root level. Something that's relatively simple, doesn't have a whole lot to it. To start with, register maybe. And settings. Settings has a moderate amount to it. List errors, I'm worried about list errors not being able to reproduce it easily. Header. So something I actually should do just to start is I should update the React requirement to React 8, 16.8. And I presume React DOM follows suit, because that's when hooks were introduced. I'm going to run a little npm outdated right here just to make sure that that's all good. Sorry for the word wrap here, trying to record it on a small screen so that the fonts are big for everybody to read. Let's see, so nothing's out of date, which means that we have the current versions of those, which is great. I believe I probably have the latest on those. There's probably a good way to, I guess we can do npm list depth equals 1 grep react. All right, so we got React at 16.9. We got React DOM at 16.9. I'm just going to go and bump both of these to 16.9 because that's what we're going to be developing against. All right, great. So now we kind of know that we are up to the latest React. I'm going to leave these other ones that are outdated alone at the moment. I don't even know what Super Agent does. And all the rest of these really, well, there's updating Redux, which is 2 major versions out of date. I'm a little afraid to touch that right now. That might be a different presentation. And the other ones, these are all the React router. Also, like there's this weird combination, right? Like these are both the whole version out of date, and that's up to 5 now. But the Redux is referencing 5 alpha, but the latest is 4. And the last commit to this whole repository is November of last year, so almost a year ago. So what do you do when, well, these should be bumped, but these ones seem to be reaching something in the future from a year ago that doesn't exist yet? A little bit reluctant to dive into that. We pretty much have to crack those things open and see what the dependencies are. And oh my gosh, that's not part of what this show is today. And I wanted to do something a little bit Let's just do it that size. All right, here we go. So I think that out of all those, it looked like register was going to be the most reasonable to sort of convert over to hooks. So the thing about hooks is we're not using classes. And I saw a couple different ways of how we're going to do this. So this says class register, and I imagine at the bottom it says export register. Great, that's fine. So we're going to change it like this. We're going to say function register, because it's all functions now. There's a couple different ways we can do this. Well, let's do it this way. Const equals, and I'm just stealing this from one of my coworkers here at Gen UI. So they implemented like this with using the fat arrow syntax. And that matches up there, which is great. So we're not going to have a render function anymore. All of this is the render function. I'm just going to collapse this whole return statement because I don't believe this return statement actually has to change at all. So we're going to leave that alone. Now we're going to look at these things. So they are assigning this, and then they're extracting this later, which was an odd pattern to start with, honestly, but we're going to normalize that for now. I'm going to go ahead and grab this. We got the column select in. I'm not in love with column select in VSCode, because you have to already click first and then you hold down the keys. All right, so we're bringing the wizard from there. We'll unmount the. As we saw last time, these unloads are actually not doing anything as far as I know. Find in folder, reveal in folder. No, that's not what I want. Find in folder. Unload. I guess press enter. There it goes. So so what do we got here? So we've got a lot of sort of different unloads going on here. What we're interested in actually is unload coming from here, which is this. So that's this just dispatch to that gets dispatched to that, which is convoluted. If that's not what we're worrying about today, what I wanted to see is if we go down here to the reducers, you can see it's a no-op. And in fact, pretty much all of the unloads in the reducers are just no-ops. So I'm not going to worry about them too much today. I don't know how the lifecycle works on components that are using the new style, using hooks, right? So I'm just going to put a comment on that one and remove it. Right now, submit form must be something else that we're using. So let's go ahead and just bring this down here and put this as one of these things. Const submit form. Okay. So that's probably okay for now. And then we don't need to do the constructor stuff at all. Now it turns out this actually might be a fairly straightforward one because I don't think it has any state other than that weirdness where they were actually setting properties on the instance object. But I don't think it actually has any state. a little concerned about what Connect is doing here. What is Connect doing? Connect is coming from React Redux. So I might need to go look up how Redux is supposed to be used with hooks. Let's do that. React Hooks example, Hooks Redux. How to use Redux with React hooks. Let's see if the #1 bullet point looks good. So we're going to connect. So we got class toggle, yes, right? So that's what it looks like before hooks. Yes, 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 yes. And then we change it to a render function here. This is the props coming in, which incidentally, all these things, exiting this.props actually just need to come from props directly. So let's go back and look at that. So props come in as an input to the function, which is great. And we got all the normal things happening here. And then it's a map state to props, which is a thing here. And what I'm particularly curious about is the dispatch aspect. But so they say connect, map state to prop, and then they have toggle switch here, which is a reducer. And then they're just passing in toggle. We replace the class syntax. Okay, they're saying here, notice how much shorter this is already. We replaced the class syntax to a simpler functional syntax. If you watch my earlier things, you know I have some opinions. But in this case, it's certainly true. Look, 19 lines of code from 28 lines of code. They eliminated 10 lines of code. Dubiously. But that's okay. So they got the render function there. But like they put that all on one line, right? And it could have been on one line before, like nothing changed there. So that was not a real reduction. And this, I mean, we have the const here where we're extracting these from this.props. We could put this.props right here and just fetch them directly. But they're doing the same, well, they're doing the pattern here. So they're extracting it directly from there. So that's fairly similar. I give them that. Yeah. I think the main thing is that they reduce that all into one line. That's like the big difference. And then the class has a class and then a function inside it. So there's two things that are being declared here instead of one. And then there's the extra curly brackets mapped around that. That's really the only like simplification that's really happening here. And it's a little bit of something. So continuing on, we want to know if this is going to work. I think we're pretty close here now because I think it looks like this connect is still legal. It's like this actually doesn't change the syntax at all. So let's go see if I save this, what does it look like? First of all, submit form is assigned a value but never used because it's this dot. I'm going to replace this dot with nothing because it should just be, let's be specific. Let's replace this dot props with just props first. Oh my gosh. Find in selection. Find next match. Previous match. How do I actually apply? Replace all. Thank you. Too much icons. All right, let's see. This dot change user. These ones are all now just locals, right? Oh, where did change user go? I think I must have changed something a little bit wrong there. So these were, all right, we're going to go roll back a lot real quick just to see what these were supposed to be. These were coming from the props. All right, never mind. Let's do this a little bit differently. Roll that all forward. These actually should have been this. Equals this dot props. In fact, it's just props because we're just bringing props. Great, that's just fine. And now we're going to call these. Trying to do as little changes as possible here with the source code. We just want to convert it all over to hooks. And I don't know how to hook the onload event, so we'll be looking into that a little later. I don't think it's actually going to matter. So blah, 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 blah. This looks all pretty reasonable now. This dot, what else do we got? This dot change user. That's really weird. VSCode and I are not getting along because it keeps changing my search. I mean, when I'm not done with it yet. All right, so this dot, great, sure, that's good. Now, it seems to be happy with that. Now let's go over here to our actual app. Say reload, that looks pretty cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my log out thing here. Over here, there should be a log out, right? Settings. I have to go to settings to log out. That is a really interesting design. All right, so sign up. Looks like we got some stuff going on there. Now let's just make sure this is live. Always a good verification since I don't think we've got tests that are actually going to test this. I've looked and I don't see anything much in the way to test this file, but I want to just see if the placeholder says email foo. It does. All right, cheers to that. That appears to be the first stage of successfully converting one of these to hooks. So that was actually pretty painless. Keep in mind that this doesn't have any state. I'm going to do a little bit of cleanups here on our little close brackets. I am all for keeping the code super clean and lean. These are all very interesting. Okay. Okay, that seems pretty reasonable. So first things first, we are using Git. We're going to check in often. To 12.6, 12.9, right? Now, I'm not sure what to do with the package.lock file. Generally, I think it should be committed. I believe that's the standard answer, but they did not commit it in this repository originally, but they also didn't get ignored. I'm gonna lean towards committing it, honestly. Convert to sign up to hooks. That's a pretty cool initial success. All right, and it certainly did shorten our file too, which is kind of cool. And I've got to give them some credit where credit's due. I think the problem more has to do with how React uses classes in the old version is clunky. It doesn't have to be that clunky. So much that hooks is so much better. That's just my own bias showing though. Let's continue on. Packagelock.json. Yes, I think we're going to just add it. Cancel, lock. All right. Groovy. All right, so now we got that in place. Now we got to just crank through. I think we got a pattern, right? Let's go do this. Let's see how good we can get at this conversion. So now I'm just going to work backwards. Let's start with settings. So this does have state. So this is a slightly more involved kind of state kind of thing. Constructor stupor. Component will unmount. Will mount. They are creating an object which brings in all of those states from the user. A component must be, let's not return the object. Oh, it's assigning it to this state. Right. So this is initializing our state with those values from props, unless it already has values. and then component will receive props, so it gets an updated props, then it's going to replace the state with those updated props. So this is already an interesting one from a hooks perspective. I think maybe we'll come back to this. I think it's pretty straightforward, but I'm a little bit unsure about will receive props and hooks. Let's go look what hooks were here. Hooks equivalents. This might be a really useful page for us. All right, will receive props, hooks equivalent. Use effect. Console log props count change, props count. Component did update. React hooks, use effect. I just want to see what use effect is supposed to do. Accepts a function that contains imperative, possibly effectful code. Mutation, subscription, timers, logging, and other side effects are not allowed inside the main body function component for React's render phase. Doing so will lead to confusing bugs. Instead, use effect. The function passed to use effect will run after the render is committed to the screen. Think of effect as an escape hatch from React's purely functional world into the apparent world. By default, effects run after every completed render, but you can choose to fire it only when certain values have changed. Which is why they say do it like this. So this is going to invoke this function, but only when that value changes. So that's kind of cool-ish. But yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. In we go. All right, so we're going to use the same pattern that we did for register. So we're going to go in. First of all, we're going to collapse down. So we've got two components going on here. Well, settings is going to be easy. So we're going to go ahead and we'll just do settings first. It's going to look something like this. And we don't need as many of those. And the rest looks pretty good, except for we're not going to be doing this dots, right? It's all going to be coming from props. And that looks all pretty nice. And this is, of course, called settings, not the stuff register. And this is a different component entirely. Should be in its own file, honestly, but it's not. Settings form, we're passing in the current user and the not submitted. Okay, great. Let's go see what this looks like here. That seemed to be happy in the compile phase. Go over here, we go to, we need to actually sign in. And shanedavis@gmail.com. Throw away password. Don't need to save it. Thank you. Settings. That looks actually pretty good. Looks pretty renderable. All right, let's go back over here. Now we got to go do the more interesting thing, which is the actual settings form. So go up to the top of this, and basically this becomes all one function now. Settings form. Constructor is now irrelevant, but now we have to do state. So what we're going to do with state is we do the standard pattern here, which I'm just going to go look at this pattern here they have here. So they use a const. You'll see how this works. So we've got state image, right? So we're going to do this, a state image set image use state, and it starts out blank. So that is the conversion of all this stuff. One of my immediate complaints is the fact that you have to manually match these two. So you got to hit say image and then set image, right? That's redundant code. So let's go ahead and do this though. We're going to do this, we'll do it like this. Already done that one, those. Do those, and then we're going to do up to this. We'll have to fix those functions because of this problem of the duplicate stuff. Don't tell me to fix things because you're wrong. Editor. I am generally against editors that are too aggressive at helping me fix things. What do they do here? They do semis in their React example, so we will do semis as well. We'll let them define the best of. So this is set username, and because we're in camel case land, it also means that it's a pain in the butt to can't even do a search replace. We just have to do this super manual. All right, so we're bringing all those in. I like to line things up, so I'm just going to do that. Hopefully people are okay with my lining up. So in fact, I'm going to line all this up because I can. I think columnizing things is hugely beneficial for making code. All right, so we're going to go down here and we're going to do, these are some functions. Constant upstate state. I can do this as fast as I can, folks. Component will mount. So this is where we are doing if user changes. So now we're going to try this new thing that I just learned for the first time from React Hooks. We're going to do use effect. And we actually got the cool version that we need, which is right here. We're going to do this, use effect, and we're going to call that whenever current user changes. And you know what? I think that we actually we're going to do it like this. We're going to have to do a little bit of duplicative code. I don't still have quite a good enough understanding, I must admit, of all the implications of React Hooks. There's my column select. So that I want to, I think I would really rather not do prompts. What do you think? We've got so many things that need to come in via prompts. I'm going to do it that way and just put the ones in there that we're reusing a lot. See, we're going to reuse this one a lot, so I want to just not. So we're going to take these three things. That is image, username, bio, email, image, username, bio, email. And now we're going to go here, and we're going to paste them in. The exception of that comma, it should be good. Oh, 2 commas. So those things are just, we want to take them straight in at the first place. This should only apply if there is a current user. Do we even test that, or we just, no, it says if we have a current user. One thing that I believe is a little tricky thing with this, we'll do it. We will just put all of our state set up here. If current user, we'll do that. All right, so we don't need update state. We do need update state, but we really even use an update state for. They're doing update state, which really should be these things. Let's see here. So we kind of want how best to do this, folks. All right, let's see. Const. I see. So this is a function turns a function. Great, that's fine by me. We'll do it that way, except for we can't. Well, there's another way we could do this. We could just have one state, which is an object, as opposed to a. Let's do that. I think it's going to be similar, and it makes some of these things a little easier. So const state, set state, and this will actually make it look kind of like normal. Use set state. I'm going to just make sure that this is a clone. And now we don't actually need to have this test at all. It's just fine. And now we're going to do update state, and it's going to actually look really simple. Instead of coming from there, we actually are just going to use state directly, and we're going to say set state directly. That was a really weird thing that they had there. That's right. Set state. We're going to set state, and we're going to pass this through a new object of the sign, which is going to guarantee us a new state. That state merged with the field and its new value. So, presto. I think presto changeo. All right, so moving right along. So submit form. AD prevent default, that's fine. In fact, did this one have a prevent default in it? Does not appear to have a prevent default in it. All right, I'm not going to worry about it. We object assign state. So we're just getting a clone of state. If not, user.password, delete user.password. I'm not sure exactly what that's doing, but we're going to leave it as is. And then we want to do props.onSubmit form. Because that is coming in from props, because that's going to get generated from all this other stuff. It should be somewhere else in the file. Yeah, the map dispatch to props. All right, now we have to use effect, which will then go through, well, we need to do our actual use effect, which is, that is going to be covering the will receive props. So we do will receive props, and we are going to say if props of current user changes, then we're going to run this afterwards, and we're going to say this, basically. We're going to wipe it out with whatever the new current user is. They're worried about having image be a default empty string. I'm going to do that here. I mean, that should already be the case. Let's do it up here in the initializing of the whole state. We're going to say image : empty string. Nope, that's not what we want to do. That's for there. We want to do it here for set state. So image is going to default to an empty string there, and then it should generally persist unless we try to clobber it with a null value, a null or an undefined value. I'm not going to worry too much about that yet. I don't think that's going to be a problem. We're not going to be calling render anymore. We are going to be calling return though. We have one less of these. This goes back a directory, back a level. All right, this dot state. It is all state. Yay! Update state does needed this dot. This dot submit form. It's all from there. I think we just remove all of this dots. This dot. Yep. Replace all. This dot with nothing. Do it. Okay. Coolio. You probably can't see some of this. I'm going to have to move my camera around because I have it underneath where I normally have my camera. We're going to move this back over here a little bit. All right, so that's looking good. I'm getting close to my hour mark here, so we're not going to be able to convert everything. Our this dots are moved. We now have the state managed a little bit more manually right here, but it is all using hooks. We're doing that. Assign, we'll put a semi in there to make everything super happy. Update state field. Now this should be invoked with a field name, right? Image. So that's generating a function that updates that particular. That's fine right now. We'll allow it. And that's going to call the set state function, which is part of the use state. Worry about this submit form thing. remove a line here to make things nice. And we have 139 lines. I'm going to undo everything just for giggles. I just made a copy of it to the board, copy the board also just in case. All the way back to the beginning of the whole file. So we went from 172 to 139 is what I just said. So yeah, I mean, there's some kudos here to it. It's streamlining things a little bit, I suppose. I think a lot has to do with just, again, the way how they use classes in React is a little clunky. It always has been, honestly. So I can understand them wanting to move away from it, and I don't understand why they didn't actually just make their class usage better. Because I bet you could get a similar level of code reduction with just a more effective class system. All right, but that's good. We saved it. Let's go look over here. We got a syntax error, which is mismatched parentheses. This is why I don't care for languages that use so much bracket matching. Can we just go straight to it here? Well, that's unfortunate. That's most of it. All right, so what is it? It's line 31. Mismatched parentheses. Any other errors here that you can see? That looks like it likes it. Use state is not defined. Use effect is not defined. Oh, we need to import those. Let's go double check that I'm importing those correctly because I don't have them yet. It looks like this. Close to them. Now it looks like it's pretty happy. Now let's go look over at our actual running world. Well, that looks pretty groovy, doesn't it? So let's see here. So we're going to change your name to Brinkman-Davis. And then I went to settings and it saves it. We'll go ahead and simplify it back there. Seems pretty good. Okay, I think we're rocking on this. ... I think that looks pretty good. All right, so I think I'm just going to run their little tester here, but I don't think that it's actually testing anything. No tests found relating to files changed since last commit, because I think there are no tests. 40 files test match, 0 matches, yeah. So there's no tests in this app, which is weird because one of the things that they say is a requirement of Realworld.js, the real world comparison app, is to have some example tests. Converted settings to hooks. So I think that one probably exercised almost all of what's interesting going on with hooks, because we had a lot going on. Let's just browse a couple more files and see what else we have going on with state. Component will unmount, component will mount. That one's going to be simple. Profile. It's got render tabs, which is a sub-render function, but that shouldn't be too hard to do. There's no state there. We'll do, is that over? That's over. Yeah, great. I keep changing my search term. I complain about that a little bit more. Even weirder is that search term is right there. Look at this. Watch this. I hit Command F. It changes it. I think it's trying to find where my cursor is. Maybe there's a setting to disable that because it's driving me. Because I like to run the same search over and over again. I could do find. Let's do a find in folder, I suppose. I would just worry that that's going to give me too many results, but it looks like it's not going to. State forward. All right, so let's see here. So app has got, oh, that's the map to state, which is irrelevant. This dot state is really probably what we care about. So comments got a little bit of state going on here. But, you know, couldn't be simpler. That's nothing different from what we just did. We have article. Article, let's actually go ahead and find this dot article, this dot state. Is that it? Is that the remaining one that actually has state? Kind of looks like it, doesn't it? Let's see about set state. See if I'm missing anything here, just settings. Holy moly. Well, let's convert this one, and then it'll be up in about an hour. So let's go ahead and convert comment input. Looks like that one should be pretty straightforward too, but we're just going to do it. So we're going to say const comment input equals props that. We are going to say, all we really have is body. So we'll just say const body set body equals use state. It starts with the default as a string. And then you have a set body event. So we're going to do it like this, I guess. Const set body equals event to that. But it's not this.setState, it's just simply set body. And we just pass in the actual body value directly. That's pretty easy. Create comment to see what this does. We'll see that in just a minute. Slide that back one, kill that. This dot state. I don't even state, it's just all the way down to body and set body. Now we want to see what create comment looks like. We are using create comment. We're going to get rid of this. It's just going to be a const. This dot props goes all around. So this is a event handler. So probably we just need to remove this dots. And the set state is really actually just set body. So I like that part. I have to give them kudos to that, right? So it's just now body. Like we removed this dot state dot and just simplified all the way down to body. That's pretty cool for JavaScript world. Little shameless plug for my stuff. In CaffeineScript plus ArtSuite, it looks even better. But that's certainly an improvement in the pure JavaScript world here. So we're doing the onSubmit on props. This is just body comments create. It's also nice now because look, we can do this. Well, I will say that in CaffeineScript, you could actually just say that. In fact, actually, you can just say this, and then if you have actually ArtSuite, it actually looks like that. So that is an example of using classes much more effectively. All right. We can put that on one line up since it's such a one-liner. So set the comment. So we're passing the body out to the comment agents, which is doing its remote thing. And we're doing set body. We're clearing out the body here of the comment for the next time around. And then we're doing the onSubmit. So that seems pretty easy, pretty good. We are still applying return. And I don't think we have any thises. Ha! It's a good thing I checked. Hey folks, this dot props needs to go away. And it's changed my search again. All right, let's save it and let's go double check that our compiler's happy use state is not defined. Ha! Anyone know how to solve that one? Use state. Save. Set body is what? Duplicate declaration. Right. We're going to call it set body from event. That was a good error. I liked that error a lot, actually. That saved us a little bit of headache. Now, what is this doing? This is comments. So let's go to home. Let's go to some comment and view his article and poetry. All right. Post the comment. So it's logged our action. It says previous state was, oh my gosh, all this. And then the next state was, oh my gosh, all this. It's in the console. I'm a little curious. I have never seen this before. Look at this. normally when you lug an object, you don't have much control over the presentation of it here. But look at this. This is grouping these three things, and these are colored, and they have spaces in them. Ooh. I kind of want to go break open Redux Logger and see how it's doing that. There must be some non-standard calls to Chrome. I do know that there is this thing that you can do in the console where you can create your own groupings, so you can create your own collapsible regions, which very rarely is used, but obviously right here it's a super cool thing. But being able to set the colors on the text is... I'm excited about that. Anyway, I did want to see what's happening here with the comments. So this should be under the article, right? The article has the comments. It says 4 comments before. The article has 3 comments there. So the comments get put in, and there's my comment. I like your post. Oh, it's getting put at the bottom, which is why I didn't see it. I'm curious if it got saved though. Let's do a quick check on that. Oh, that's funny. It did, but it should have gotten put in the front, not at the end. I think that was a bug in the original one, but maybe we should do a check on that. So this is comment input. Let's just do that. I don't think we have any control over that here, actually. So I think that just running this all back is not going to make any difference. Welcome, Rob. I also don't think that we could, yeah, it's just still going to the end. So that's another little bug here, which I think, actually, I want to start writing down these bugs because we had a lot of them yesterday too, which was interesting. So the bug is so Realworld ReactJs bugs. I'm just going to do this here because we went to sort of see what we can fix here. Comments get updated in Redux in reverse correct order. Actions which require auth throw crash. They basically just crash if not auth. And what else did we discover? There's some layout bugs and other things that are just a little bit strange for them demoing because it's been like the top demo. But there we go. So we converted this to using hooks. Great. So I think we're just about done with what we're going to do for the demo today. We're just up at an hour here. Git add source. Looks to be the last stateful component. All right, so let's do a little review. I actually didn't expect to get as far as we got. So what's left, real quick, is there are several components left, but none of them have state. And that's the main thing that hooks does for us. So really all that's left is we need to go through all those other components, and we need to just convert them to what was previously called pure components. They call them pure components, or maybe just functional components. Anyways, it's basically just a render function. That's all it is. It takes the props as an input and it returns the result. It's just a render function. And that conversion is fairly straightforward. It's just a little tedious. We'll have to see if there's any other lifecycle hooks that we're missing, like the unmount thing. That doesn't do anything anyway. A little bit like, should I reproduce the original code's functionality that was really effectively a no-op? Because was it there for a reason? I guess my conclusion is no. You should not have code in there that's a no-op. Zen, 0 extra nuts, or other people know it as Yagni. Yeah, ain't gonna need it. Every little bit of code you put in there is a big cost. My general philosophy is every line of code you write is going to get read approximately somewhere in the order of 100 times over the life cycle of a project, and it's going to be edited approximately 10 times, which means to say one line of code equals 110 amounts of times as much effort as you think it's going to take. And so you want to minimize every single line of code, particularly stuff that is a no-op. It literally doesn't do anything. It just creates more surface area for bugs, harder to read source code, code that doesn't expose its intents. So I think I would certainly remove anything that's a no-op thing. This is an explanatory library, but explaining how to write bad. Your explanatory library shouldn't put bad code in to exemplify how you might write some other code well, which is, I think, what they maybe intended to do there. It's like, if you need this, it would look like this. But they're showing how to write bad code. So I'm going to remove that because the explanatory library should always show good. So I'm going to finish this whole conversion. But I'm going to do it off the air. And then I will do a pull request and see if they want to accept this in as the updated version using hooks, because I think that they probably should, because that's the new thing. So cheers, wish me luck on that. So in conclusion, I do have questions. And really the main question is, what do you think about hooks? Clearly they reduced the height. Do you like how they look? One of the things I like about the class system is it feels more declarative. It's easier to see where the components are versus not. Like this screen right here, can you tell me where the component is? It would take a little bit even for me just to glance at it. I'm like, oh, what's a function that's taking props as input that's initial capitalized? Oh, initial capitalized is your key, your hint. I like the class felt more declarative than this. But definitely, what do you think? And how do you like about the state management aspects of using hooks? And I would love to see more insight in terms of why hooks were justified. I understand the main insight was composability, to be able to merge in more functionality into your classes with stateful related things. But I've never seen a compelling example of that actually being the case, where hooks is either required or is dramatically better than the old way. But I'd be very curious if people have comments about that. It's certainly not an inelegant solution. I'll give them that. So, once again, my name is Shane Brinkman-Davis. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to follow more. Doing this in association with GenUI.co. In fact, I'm just doing that here at work today, and we do React development with lots of clients, and so lots of something we get to practice quite a bit around here. And also my own company, Kimmy, where I develop all kinds of great things, but a lot of it's the Art Suite and Caffeine Suite, which are respectively a to Z framework for building and launching apps as quick as possible on all the major platforms, and Caffeine Script, which is part of the Caffeine Suite, which is writing JavaScript in 1/3 the code. So cheers, and I look forward to seeing something in the comments.